Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're returning to my series where we look at the best fighters in the world. I give you 5 things they're exceptional at with training tips so you can be a little bit more like them. And today we are focusing on ONE FC champion Hiroki Akimoto. This Japanese fighter is actually at my weight class and is super impressive and dangerous, and as somebody, when I watch him, I go, whoa. He'd be so hard to beat. So I'm looking forward to diving in and looking what makes this talented fighter so amazing. So this series in general is just super fun because we get to look at the best fighters in the world. I get to kind of analyze what they're fantastic at, but what I really like doing, the episodes that are really fun, are ones like this, where I'm looking at fighters in my weight class who I could potentially be competing against. Now, Akimoto is in ONE FC, I am with Karate Combat. You know, there's very small likelihood that the two of us will meet up within the next 3 years, and by the time the 3 years run out, I'm going to be closing in on 40. So you know, we'll see if this fight ever happens, but it's exciting because this is somebody where I look at him and I go, he would be so darn hard to beat. And I don't think that about too many people. Robin van Roosmalen, when I fought him, yes, I knew this was going to be a crazy hard fight for me because of the size difference. But in Akimoto, I'm not looking at a size difference. I am just looking at the raw skills. So let's dive right into point number 1, which is his combo, fluidity, and variety. Many people, when they throw combos, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they punch, they punch, they punch, they punch, and they blast a kick in. Or it's all hands, or they'll do something like a front kick into a knee. But there's not that ability to go from punching to a knee, to punching, to a kick, and to be changing up the angles and maintain balance and power. But Akimoto does this so well, and it makes him very dangerous because once he starts letting his hands go, you can't just think, okay, I'm just gonna guard up and protect my head. No, he can attack the legs and be super fluid. He might attack right down the middle with a knee, and then when you go to block that, all of a sudden he is attacking with his hands again. In my mind, this is one of the things that makes him the most dangerous and would be the most difficult in facing him, whether it was in the ring or the cage. Just that ability to fire, fire, fire at all different heights, all different levels, all different angles, and keep the attack ongoing. Super impressive and dangerous. If you guys want to try and work this, you very simply need to start setting up combos like this. So instead of going to the bag and thinking, okay, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, kick and stop. You wanna go, okay, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, kick, come to a punch, and then go to a skip and fire a knee. That's just a for instance, but don't stop your combos too early. Try to think of 6 or 7 techniques to throw and make sure you alternate between hands and legs, back to hands, and then finish with legs, and then maybe even some hands again. But generally sticking to 5 to 7 techniques is realistic. Once you start going beyond that, it's not something that you're going to get away with unless your opponent is already really hurt. The next thing that we need to look at in Akimoto is his right kick. Now, if you did not already know, he is actually a karate practitioner, specifically Kyokushin. Kyokushin, if you're not familiar with it, is bare knuckle, but no punches to the head. They can chop to the legs, they can kick to the body, they can kick to the head, but they can only punch to the torso. In addition, they can throw the knees. So the transition for Akimoto was probably a little difficult. In the early parts of his ONE FC career, he struggled getting those hands going, but now those are looking sharp, but he still has that awesome right kick from that Kyokushin background. He utilizes it so well, in my mind, in 2 ways. And these are going to both be part of one point. Number 1, the low kick is scary, and that is something which is sort of synonymous with Kyokushin fighters. They're able to smash that shin into the thigh. And we actually see him fight a Thai fighter, Capitan, and Capitan is kicking Akimoto's leg, and Akimoto just doesn't look like he cares because he has that conditioning. But when Akimoto throws to Capitan, we see him buckling under the impact, and that is something which you would not expect when you're facing a Thai fighter, breaking them down via low kicks when you're going back and forward, because Thai fighters kick so hard. So this just speaks to the fantastic ability of Akimoto's right low kick. What is unique about it is he can throw it from so many ranges. In particular, he can get very tight. So instead of being, okay, I'm landing my jab way out here and I go along with my low kick, he can be in here, throw his hook, and slam that shin right into his opponent's thigh from very tight, which hurts a lot and is not something that's usually anticipated. In addition to the low kick, he also has a right high kick, which kind of comes up and around and drops down. And I actually saw him do a tutorial on this, and he was talking about how you need to get the knee as high as possible to start the kick. And then from there, you start whipping the foot up and dropping down. And it's not a Brazilian kick or a question mark kick, because you're not faking from here and then flipping it, but he does bring his knee up and then get that foot high and drop down. And sorry, I can't demonstrate it super well right now because my legs are smashed from hill sprints this morning. But what you just really want to try and do is drive that knee as high as you can. And then if your hips are flexible enough, you get that foot up and let it float through. And the ability that he has to throw this head kick basically at any range and in any situation is just superb. Next up, I want to talk about Akimoto's aggression. And this is something which is just, to me, when I watch him, I go, whew, this is a little bit scary. This is a little bit intimidating if I was going to be somebody fighting him. Because yes, he is very technical. We already know that. As soon as you watch this guy, you go, wow, he's a technical fighter. But a lot of times the technical fighters are not super aggressive, but Akimoto is. So he's got that technical aspect, but he can just go forward and forward and forward and utilize that aggression. He utilizes the aggression well because he has that really nice style where he brings his hands right back to his head. He throws those beautiful shots, and whenever anybody throws on him, his hands have returned. That allows him to pressure forward nonstop. And as we already mentioned, if he mixes up the variety and he's very fluid with his techniques, it makes him even more dangerous, and it makes it harder to get the blocks off, because if somebody's just aggressive and they're like, and they're throwing, you can just kind of guard up. But with this guy, you don't know where the attacks are coming from, and that non-stop aggression, which he will apply at the right moments, is fearsome. It absolutely is. If you are looking to increase your aggressiveness and be just as dangerous as Akimoto, obviously getting on the bag and just smashing it is a great start. But what you really need to do to be like him is be crisp and detail-oriented on what the non-punching hand is doing. Or if you're throwing a kick, where your hands are. Because most people, when they get over-aggressive, and Akimoto sometimes does almost look over-aggressive in the sense of just moving forward and forward and forward and forward and throwing, but most people make a mistake of leaving openings, so it backfires on them. But with him, it does not, because he's always drawing his hands back to the right position. So you get on the bag, you start smashing it for like 10-15 seconds, moving from hands to legs, but you're always thinking specifically about the defense of the position when you execute. What is my non-punching hand or my hands doing as I execute kicks or knees? If you're on top of that, then you're going to get really sharp like Akimoto, and that aggression will not be misplaced and it will not leave you vulnerable to openings. Now, point number 4 about Akimoto, which in my sense makes him so dangerous, is his counters. And this is something that I'm going to continue to bring up on this channel, because counters are the difference between pretty good fighters and great fighters. With Akimoto, he is spectacular at counters actually off his right kick, which we're already touched on, but he's also really good at left hook counters. The reason counters are so dangerous, in my mind, especially if I was looking at facing him, is I go, okay, he's aggressive. He's going to push forward, which we just talked about, which means my defense needs to be on point. So maybe I'll try and go first. I'll try and be the person to initiate the attack, and that will sort of slow his aggression. But no, not with Akimoto, because he has the counters down. So if I decide to jump in and throw 3 or 4 or 5 punches, you know he's gonna throw something back. And if you're not on point with your defense, you're gonna get clipped, especially with that right high kick counter, which he has. Counters are something which I already said, they're gonna make you or up your skill level from good to great. If you want to get better at these, you just need to get somebody in front of you, or pad holder, or drilling, where you practice blocking a shot and firing right back. Block the shot, fire back. Block the shot, fire back. You just need to get that repetition of knowing when somebody throws at you, the exchange is not over. The exchange is over once you've blocked, you hit them, and then you choose to exit. That is something that a great fighter can do, and it is why Akimoto, in my mind, has another dangerous point to his side. And the final thing that I want to talk about today, which makes him dangerous, is the beauty behind his technique. Now you might go, what does that have to do with anything, Gabriel? Why does that make him exceptional? Nice technique? It doesn't help you in fights, but I'm going to argue that it does, and I will tell you why right now. So when we watch him throw, I look at him and I go, whew, that is like picture perfect technique. Picture perfect technique, if you can use it correctly, if your defense is on point, you're tough, you hit hard, if you have all of those, which Akimoto does, it means that you are more energy efficient. You are also going to have a better ability to make sure that your hand is in the correct position, so you're going to be harder to hit. There's so many aspects of having perfect technique, or as close to perfect as possible, which are going to be to your advantage. And he is one of the few people that I watch as a high level fighter where I go, that technique is so beautiful that I want to just keep watching him, because he just does an amazing job displaying what it should look like. But it also would make me nervous fighting him, because I'm going, he gets the technique from here to here in one straight line as quick as possible. There's no drop, there's no loading up, there's no tells on his shots. He is concise and deadly with those attacks. And keep in mind that as you're working throughout the years at increasing your skills, getting crisp technique, beautiful technique is only going to benefit you, and it's only going to make you more of a dangerous fighter. At least that is my opinion. So that is all I want to cover about this fighter today. If you're interested in Hiroki Akimoto, he is actually fighting this week and defending his 1FC belt, and you can check that out on 1FC's YouTube channel, I believe. He's the co-main event, and he is defending against a fighter from Thailand. It's always fireworks when he fights, and like I said, it's always beautiful. So be sure to check that out, and if you're new to this fighter, you will be stunned and impressed by him. If you guys enjoyed this series or this episode, there are many more which you can check. I'll throw the playlist up there. You can go through a whole list. I think we're at like episode 26 or 27 now. So Borkau, Giorgio Petrosian, Conor McGregor, just Canelo. We have so many that you can run through and learn from these amazing fighters. And then I will teach you how to drill like them so you can get better. If you enjoyed the episode, guys, please give it a like. If you have not already, join the channel and get subscribed. As always, train hard just like these high-level fighters do every day to get better, and I will see you back here soon for another video.